If I didn't discover this, if I didn't discover what you was putting out last year around this time, I damn myself. I was on my way.
Well, praise the Lord.
I was on my way. I quit smoking because of you, bro.
You quit smoking because of the Lord. You
yeah, amen. But yeah, it's just when you were saying that, I was like, praise the Lord. I for sure repented for that. But yeah.
Man, look at me. I used to be a serious pothead. That junk ain't that serious. Right. You know what I'm saying? I done seen dude. Yeah, I was smoking from the time I was 14 years old till I was 32.
Same here.
What?
Yeah, man. It's every day.
Well, you know, he mentioned to me, he said that you speak of life and experiences of life. And I can definitely see, because this dude just talking to about hoes and all that stuff. I mean, you can connect the dots.
Big time.
Man, a lot of stuff with human beings is just, human nature is human nature. People are people. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people who get in their word, they forget that people are people. Right. They got stuff that doesn't happen to them. They have thought processes and all that type of stuff. And it just is what it is. Doesn't mean it's right. It just is. You know what I'm saying? And you got to learn how to navigate it. Right. Back off in here, man. I don't know what happened with that joint, man. Corinthians chapter 4, though, by the way. I give y'all everybody a couple minutes slide back around the corner.
That was real key what you said about blood and killing your own. That's
no, see, he doesn't want you to do that.
That's crazy.
Because you got to understand this: that the people take the turn the other cheek, because that's what the slave master hit you with in slavery. So because people don't understand, they think that was a overarching, overreaching instruction. Remember, he was sent to the lost sheep of the house of Yasharal, so he talking to them about matters that pertain to them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you got to remember, they call it, the Beatitudes or whatever you want to call it, the Sermon on the Mount. There were none but Hebrews out there.
Right.
There was none but Israelites out there. So they supposed to know the law. So that's why his conversation is spritzed with it, because they supposed to pick. That's what people not understanding. They supposed to pick up on his conversation because they supposed to know the book.
They didn't catch the fact that he was so solid right from the gate.
So that's why when you see the ending of Matthew 7 and it say he don't speak like the scribes speak, he speak as one having authority. Because they like, oh, he know what he talking about. And they were unaccustomed to that. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't know the word and you reading what the Lord saying, you not understanding, he giving book back to you.
Yeah.
When you read Paul's epistles, people thinking he giving all this here and he giving book back to you. But people don't know the book, so they don't catch it. So that's why with Peter's, John's, and James and Jude's apostles were very plain when they referencing book. But Paul is referencing book. It's in his speech. It's in his writing. It just come out. So if you know it, you know what he's talking about. If you don't know it, then, Paul is this and Paul is that. And I'd be like, dude, you're a jackass. You just don't really know what you're talking about. You think you're nice, but you're really not nice. You're really trash.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These dudes not nice at what they do.
They speak with so much conjecture and supposition.
You know what I'm saying?
They trying to think they're smart and have a high level of intellect.
I don't even think of that, man. I just think dudes think they really know the word and they just not used to being around somebody who actually do.
That's what the conjecture to me.
Like when the Lord told him, you do err, not knowing the power of Alahym or the scriptures. Like, bro, he told him, like, bro, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? But again, you have to remember, them scribes and Pharisees walked around and thought they knew what they were talking about. Till they ran across somebody who knew what they were talking about. Come on, y'all. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, right? We're in verse 11. Yeah, y'all can still hit that like button, though. Even unto this present hour, we both hunger and thirst. Indeed it is, my good friend. Indeed it is. And are naked and are buffeted and have no certain dwelling place. Now, remember, Paul talking about the things that the apostles would suffer. And they're talking about the very things, I know it, and they're talking about the very things that Yahushua suffered himself. And labor, working with our own hands, being reviled, we bless. Being persecuted, we suffer. How do you know this? Jacob was being persecuted and he dealt with it. He didn't go seek to kill Esau. He ain't seek to go do that. Joseph was persecuted by his brothers. He was in a position he could have killed him. He didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And again, who we talking about? He talking about actual brethren. God bless us, Brother Kill. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. People just be talking. People just be talking. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know the word. That's why he say mercy rejoice against judge. Why you think David was able to be spared? Because he spared Saul. You know what I'm saying? That's an example of course, y'all, most of y'all on here, y'all already know this. You know what I'm saying? This ain't nothing that y'all ain't never heard before. Y'all ain't never been taught. But you know what I'm saying? Mercy rejoice against judgment. That's why David was able to be spared. He had showed mercy so many times. That mercy can get showed back to him. That's why you can't be listening to these bussies out here, man. These dudes be holding grudges and all stuff they be doing, but talking about love. But you got hatred in your heart. You don't got no mercy. You don't forgive nobody. But then you run around here talking about don't nobody love nobody. Nigga, get out of here. We don't believe you. Because the way that you behave shows that you really flawed. You know what I'm saying? Man, nigga do all type of stuff to me. I don't hold no grudges. I'm just not going to fool with you. I ain't got enough energy to be walking around here holding no grudge. And I felt like that before the word. That's too much energy to be invested in a man. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I go get me some money before I invest energy in a man. You know what I'm saying? When you walk around here holding grudges with people, man, you're investing energy into another person who ain't investing none into you. So what am I going to do that for? You know what I'm talking about? That don't even make no sense. That means that I've elevated this person to a place in my life that they don't deserve to be. I've elevated them above myself. The only person that should be elevated above me is my God. Another man shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? I'm not elevating nobody above me. I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? And I say that dead serious. I'm a man. Don't nobody come before me. It's before you talking about your life. Now, of course, you know you're going to make sacrifices for your brother. You're going to make sacrifices for your wife. You're going to make sacrifices for your children. But why do you do that? That's a part of the man that you are. You know what I'm talking about? The man that you are, the people who are in your immediate surroundings, you're going to make sacrifices for them in certain instances. You're going to put them before you because it's beneficial as a leader for you to do so. You know what I'm talking about? But in the grand scheme of your life, don't nobody supposed to come before you. You know what I'm talking about? Absolutely not. Because you're supposed to be living for Yahuwah. The minute you go to doing that, mean you living for them people. I done told you that before. You don't live for your wife. You don't live for your kids. They supposed to live for you. You the head of the house. What you living for them for? You know what I'm talking about? That don't make no sense. They supposed to be following. And of course, we already discussed this a couple of weeks ago. This is the pathway that the Lord said. The man told you, I don't do this for your sake. I do this for my great name's sake. So I do this for me. I had a great interest in life before I ever knew you, before I ever met you. I created the heavens and the earth. You weren't there. You know what I'm talking about? I made man upon the earth and formed him upon it. I didn't need your help. I came and gave you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You ain't give none to me. That's why he don't live for you. Because he don't need you. You need him. So what is, at the end of the day, you know, a woman can say, I don't need a man to do this, that, there, and the third. But see, you got three things that a woman could never possess in great quantity, and that's knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. They say she can't possess it. I say she can't possess it in large quantities. Not in comparison to you. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that, man, the brother said that jump man earlier this here, right? And I agree. And I told y'all this before. Matter of fact, we didn't have this conversation numerous times. Most women don't want to deal with the word because it doesn't allow her to do what she wants to do. They want to do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? That's why they like the chakras and the goddess and this, that, there, and the third. Because the woman is venerated and she can do what she wants to do. When you come with the word, the man is venerated, for lack of a better term. He's not even venerated. He's just set as the authority figure. He calls the shots and he calls the plays. That's why women say, what about the women? What are we supposed to do? What about us? See, once you deal with that there, you already know you're dealing with a woman who's a disciplinary problem. She's going to cause you problems because she's seeking a way to find out where she can be equal or greater than you. It's better for you to walk away. You know what I'm saying? You don't got no time. You're supposed to be at a point, you're supposed to be working on, focusing on what you're focusing on in life, that you don't even have time to deal with a woman of that sort. That's when they'll hit you with, you can't deal with a strong woman like me. I don't tame animals. I don't work at the zoo. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no time for that. You know what I'm saying? I get money and build with my niggas. I don't tame animals. I'm not a zookeeper. I'm not Siegfried and Roy. I don't do this for a living. I don't do that. That's not my job. You know what I'm talking about? They'll tell you got to heal a bro. They'll mock you and say that they shouldn't be your therapist, but you should heal a heart you didn't break. See the hypocrisy. They want you to be their forever servant. Don't do it. Just serve you. You know what I'm talking about? When you serve Yahuwah, he told you what he'll do. A virtuous woman, a prudent woman is a gift from Yahuwah. He'll give you one. You ain't got to do all that. This is what he do won't tell you, man. You have all these Hebrews crying about they want a wife. Man, just stay on the path of Yahuwah. He'll put you in the pathway of one. You ain't got to chase her. You ain't got to do none of that. She'll be in your path. Ain't going to be no different than Rebecca. She's just going to be in your pathway. And she going to get down. She going to be able to pick up what you're putting down. And she going to roll. It's no different when the Lord came. He ain't have to chase after you. When he pulled up, you were like, this here was shoot. He looked nice. Smell good too. I like what he talking about. I'm going with you. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got to do all that. When you're a man in control of your life, man, and you moving in the direction that you want to move, you ain't got to do all that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to do all that. I've been told y'all that, man. That's how I would talk, man. I would talk, go get you some money, man. And you can get you a woman. Dudes get messed up because they focus on getting a woman. They want a woman so bad they can't get no money. And when I'm talking about money, I ain't even talking about just Federal Reserve notes. I'm talking about things that allow you to be resourceful, to increase your value all the way around the board. You don't get no faith. You don't get no understanding. You don't get no wisdom. You don't get no knowledge. You don't get no life experience. You don't get nothing. Because you over concerned with chasing and pleasing a woman. And for what? I can tell you for what. It's because you have a strong emotional attachment to your mother. You know what I'm talking about? And you feel like you need to get a woman and lift her up on the pedestal in the same position that your mother was in. You know what I'm talking about? And you need a woman to mother you and guide you and make decisions for you just like your mama did, because you don't have the nuts to do it for yourself. You know what I'm talking about? And that ain't no way to live. That ain't no way. Let's continue, though, and hit them likes, though, while you at it. Verse 13 of 1 Corinthians 4. Being defamed, we entreat. We're made as filth of the world, the offscoring of all things unto this day. I write not these things to shame you, but as my beloved sons, I warn. For though you have 10,000 instructors in Mashiach, you have not many fathers, for in Mashiach Yahushua I've begotten you through the gospel. What is Paul letting you know? How do you beget someone through the gospel? Can anyone in the chat tell me, how do you birth someone through the gospel? How is that even possible? Talk to me now. Work with me. You know what I'm saying? What it was, YouTube and I don't know, big who we got for Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? They were trying to keep the numbers down. You know what I'm saying? Getting immersed. Right. I hear you talking. Anybody else? Now you know the hat come on. That means I'm waiting on you. What Johnny from Harlem at? Where that Harlem boy at? When they become reborn from above, okay, I hear you talking. I'm going to tell you this here. Y'all answers are not incorrect. They're the byproduct. But you haven't got the root cause yet of how you birth somebody through the gospel. Right there in your face. You ain't got to overthink it.
Sharon.
What's that?
Sharon.
Yeah, you got to be more specific. Anybody else in the chat?
Walking in the ways.
That's a byproduct.
Yeah.
You say reveal the testimony, I allow it because he said sharing also. And they say priest and Messiah, you get washed, the words that are spoken. I allow it. You have to remember, what does Luke tell you? That the seed is what? The word of Alahym. So you beget people through the gospel. Like I said, none of y'all answers are wrong. It's the byproduct. That seed has to be put in them in order for them to be born of the word. That's why he said, I birthed you through the gospel. Then of course, the immersion, you know what I'm talking about? the being born again, and then the elements of what Darius got mentioned. And that's how you birth somebody through it. See, most people ain't even been birthed in Mashiach yet, and they don't even know it. No, because they never heard the gospel. Remember what Paul wrote? He said, how can you call on him whom you have not heard? Many have never heard of him. So if you've never heard of him, you haven't been born of him. That would be impossible. You know what I'm saying? That's a harsh reality, but it's the reality nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to sit here and tell you, by no means are we the only people in the earth doing it. It's several people. I know somebody right now in Vegas that do it. It's plenty of people who do it. You know what I'm talking about? It's a conversation standing note, because we were talking about that a few weeks ago when we were talking about the conversation with Adam dying for his wife, his brothers who don't even believe that. They can't see it. And you'll be like, well, why they can't see it? Because the love of God ain't in them. The Lord already told you this. He's already told you this. The reason why, what that means, and I think I mentioned it then, but I'll reiterate it. When the love of Alahym is in you, you see the love of Alahym in everything that he does. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be some old, oh, that ain't what that is. Because the love of Alahym would stand out so strongly, it touched your heart. That's why when certain men hear certain things coming out of the word, that's why it moved them to tears. And it's not an emotional reaction, if you would. It's an understanding of the deepness of the love that was manifested by this man. You understand? That's why that happens. That's because somebody is able to understand and it hits them, and the manifestation of love is so, they're like, wow, I ain't had nobody love me like that before. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of brothers, they so more focused on arguing doctrine, they can't see, well, that's love right there, yo. Because Adam did something he didn't have to do. Just like Yahushua did something he didn't have to do. And I told you this before, most people ain't never been loved, so they don't know love when they see it. You know what I'm saying? Most people want love to be emotional, so they don't know love when they see it. They can't fact. And what I'm talking about, know it when they see it to where it's not plain and obvious. See, when somebody read Matthew 27, he on the stake, and see, that's plain and obvious. You know what I'm talking about? But when you see elements of certain other things in here, and it's not plain and obvious, and then you see him like, oh, man. That's why they don't, like him not getting that woman's stone when they brought her. That wasn't just no, oh, I'm trying to show up the Pharisees. He was trying to show mercy and forgiveness, which is an aspect of love. Dudes miss it because they think it was about showing them up. Remember, he said there's forgiveness with him that he might be reverenced. Well, there's forgiveness with him because that's part of his attributes, because that's part of the manifestations of love. You can't say you have love in you and you lack forgiveness. That's impossible. Why is that impossible? Because the attributes of Yahuwah, as he declared, is he forgives sin and iniquity. And Alahym is love. So if you lack forgiveness, then you not an Alahym, because love is not in you. And most of these dudes walk around with grudges and don't forgive people. So love's not in them. So you a liar. See, these are simple elements of game that if you know the word can't get ran on you. That's why he said, I've told you before, be not deceived. That means I done gave you this information. So you should not get got. If I gave you the information and you get got, you would done it. This is one thing that most people would believe the Lord would do. If he gave you information and you got, that man gonna look you right in your face and tell you stupid. You know what I'm talking about? He ain't gonna sit back and be like, it's okay, my son. He's like, nigga, you's an idiot. Just like your daddy. See, if you had a daddy and your daddy didn't play no games and he gave you information and you didn't follow that information, he was gonna tell you were stupid, dead to your face. After he told you you were stupid, he was gonna show you why you were stupid. But he was going to tell you were stupid. Now, he didn't want to go do like your mom did, you big dummy, and walk off and just let you eat on you were dummy. You know what I'm talking about? He going to tell you were dummy, and then he going to show you why you were dummy, and don't come back in here being stupid no more. Because the next time, I'm going to put you upside your head because you're dishonoring my name. You know what I'm talking about? Absolutely. Indeed, that was love. He did that with Ahab. When Ahab did all that crime, he said, I ain't going to kill all your sons. He said, you ain't going to see it. He said, I'm going to kill him now, but you ain't going to see it. Because he told him, I'm going to piss everybody that piss, he said, I'm going to kill everything that piss against the wall. You know what I'm talking about? Ahab humbled himself, and he said, you know what? I ain't putting that sin away because I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to kill everybody in your bloodline, but you ain't going to see it. You know what I'm talking about? But you ain't going to see it. When Solomon did what he did, he said, boy, I love you now, but boy, I'm going to take these 10 tribes from you, boy, but you ain't going to see it. You know what I'm saying? See, people don't even pay attention. That's mercy and that's love, because that would have been devastating for a man to see all his sons get killed. You know how devastating that would be if you had 10 sons and you had to watch them all die? You know what I'm talking about? That's going to be devastating to a man. He said, "No, I ain't gonna do that." All because the man humbled himself. See, Yahuwah is a merciful God now. But again, like you said, I don't by no means clear the guilty now. If you're wrong, I'm gonna come see you. Look here, what he told David: you will not die, but I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You still gonna get punished. See, people think, oh, Yahuwah forgave me. Oh, no, he's still gonna punish you. Now, if I forgive you, I'm not gonna punish you because that's not my place. But Yahuwah gonna punish you. You know what I'm talking about? These are all things about who he is and how he operates. Most people don't know because they don't care to know. Let's continue. Verse 16, wherefore I beseech you, be you followers of me. For this cause have I sent unto you Timotheus, who is my beloved son, faithful in the Lord, who shall bring you into remembrance of my ways, which being Mashiach, I teach everywhere in every synagogue. Now, some of you are puffed up as though I would not come to you, but I will come to you shortly if the Lord will and will know, not the speech of them which are puffed up, but of the power. The kingdom of Alahym is not in word, but in power. What will you? Shall I come with you with a rod, or in love, or in the ruach of meekness? Look how he said, how you want me to come? Because what is the rod? The rod is for correction. Not that he literally a lot of people take that verse, spare the rod, spoil the child. The man wasn't literally talking about beating them. Niggas took that to mean rod. Oh, I'm supposed to beat him. He was saying that you're not supposed to spare the rod. See, you're supposed to know this from what's in Samuel. And he said, get out of line, I'll chastise him with the rod. See, come over here to 2 Samuel so you can see for yourself. Because, I tell you, it's all good. Sometimes you got to go ahead and go upside them head. But, I done told you this before. I'm not a proponent of hitting them children for every single solitary thing they do. Truth be told, I'm not a proponent of hitting children at all unless it definitely calls for it because they're being extremely rebellious or extremely disobedient or what's the word I'm looking for? Defiant. Outside of that, your not necessarily negotiation skills, your wisdom is supposed to be much stronger than you reacting to the point that I'm upset, so I'm going to strike you. And then at the bare minimum that you don't even explain it to this child why they being struck. You know what I'm talking about? Because contrary to, I told you, I don't believe in that nigga raising. If you're going to chastise a child, that child need to know what they being chastised for. Because guess what? When Yahuwah chastised you, he told you exactly why you were being chastised. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't come through and start killing people or start taking you off into captivity. He let you know, I sent prophets to you daily, warning you, and you did not heed. And then he explained to you that I'm finna bust you upside your head. And guess what? And his arm is stretched out still. And he gonna tell you, this is why I'm touching you up and I'm dusting you up. He told you why he did it. They're not learning nothing because you frustrated and you hit them. You're not teaching them nothing. They ain't learning nothing from that. That's not a deterrent for behavior. That's a deterrent because I don't want to get hit. That's not any respect for your culture, your rules, your values, or nothing. I don't want you to fear me for getting hit. I want you to fear me for disappointing me by not doing what I instructed you to do. You know what I'm talking about? I don't need you walking around here scared of me that you worry about I'm going to hit you. I don't need you jumping because you think I don't need that's not what I want. I want respect. I want honor. I want reverence. And I ain't got to beat that into you. I'm going to set that into you because I'm going to let you know that there's a way that you're going to operate in this house. And I have patience long as an elephant. I'm not going to be frustrated by no child. I will tell you the same thing 35 times in a row. And you're going to understand that don't play with me, that I will not let it slide, not once. And I will never allow you to see me get flustered or emotional about anything that you do. Because the moment I allow you to see that, that's when you know that you can have control over me. And no child under any circumstance will ever have control over me. I will not be outwitted by a child. And that's the same attitude you should have with a woman. You know what I'm talking about? I think I'm in the wrong. Oh, there we go. 2 Samuel chapter 7. 7 and 12. I expect a woman to get frustrated, but as a man, come on, bro. You're supposed to have more wisdom, patience, and understanding to allow a child to outwit you. When I say outwit, not that they outthinking you, but they're causing you to get in an emotional state. That child is inferior to you. They're beneath you, literally. How can you let a subordinate get you flustered? They're a subordinate. You're the superior. They looking at you to see how they're supposed to navigate and how to handle things when people are doing things that they don't like and how to navigate it. You got to have skill and diplomacy to be able to do things. Of course, sometimes, hey, man, I got to render wrath upon your head. Fury must come down and come down swiftly. But that should be a rare occasion. We've talked about this before. It took a lot before Yahuwah bust you upside your head, like really, really bust you upside your head. You know how long you were disobedient before he took you out of here to take you to Syria? You know how long you were disobedient before he took you to take you to Babylon? That's why he say he that being quick to wrath, ain't no righteousness in that. Yahuwah is slow to wrath. That's why he say anybody who quick to anger, the love of Alahym ain't in them. You have to sit back and look at is fast. Have the seed been implanted and have you allowed it to bring forth the fruit or the byproduct of what the word is supposed to bring? You know what I'm saying? This is what that's about. And of course, this is coming up. I used to be a child. All of us done been churned. Y'all know them, your parents yelling at you and you ain't know what they were yelling. You know what that did to your mental state. You know it's times you've been hit, you ain't know why you was hit. You wondering what's going on, why they doing that. You know what I'm saying? If it's stuff you know your people did, man, and you ain't like it, why you turn around and do your own churn like that? Right. And think they gonna come out different. Nigga, you crazy as hell. Literally, you crazy in the brain. And I told you this here, man, when we got in trouble, boy, our people told us why we were getting, they let it be known. You know what I'm saying? My cousin will tell you, man, she was like, I would be preferred to just be struck and sent on the way, but because they explained, like, this is why I'm coming to see you. This is the byproduct of your behavior. This is what an outcome can be of your behavior. If you can, do you not understand when you do things like that, you allow your child to become a critical thinker? Now they can have the ability to assess their decisions. They can understand consequences of decisions. That means they can be in more control of their life. You know what I'm saying? Which can allow them to be responsible for the choices that they make. Which also can allow them to not be swayed by their peers. It's overarching. It's just not in the moment. You're teaching for a lifetime. Man, y'all don't realize what did Yahuwah tell you when he had you in the wilderness, man? He said, I was trying to teach you X, Y, Z. You ain't even know it. I been told y'all this years ago. He was Mr. Miyagi in you in the wilderness, and you ain't even know it. You was getting instructed on how to operate and fight and defend yourself, and you didn't even know it because you wanted it to be overt, and he was doing it covert. You know what I'm saying? The things that you teach somebody is not something that you just teaching them in the moment. This is something that's going to carry with them for years. Do you want your words to last for a minute, or do you want them to rest with someone for decades or for life? You know what I'm saying? The way that you raise, the way that you teach is things that's going to stay with somebody for life. But see, we just get caught up on the moment. What I want you to figure out right now, nigga, you supposed to be playing chess. You're supposed to be raising this boy for 10 years from now. You know what I'm talking about? But see, that happens when you don't have the mind of a ruler, which unfortunately, most of us don't get an opportunity to have that implanted in our hard drive. But nevertheless, 2 Samuel chapter 7. I need to, what time is it? Oh, my. 10:17 to 2 Samuel 7 and 12. And when your day be fulfilled, you shall sleep with your fathers. I will set up a seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels. I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. And if he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the sons of men. So he lets you know I'm going to use men to correct him. But again, that rod is for correction. And sometimes correction has to be physical. Sometimes correction is situation and circumstance, as say with Manasseh. You know what I'm saying? But the rod is signifying correction. He needs to be corrected. He should not be left unchecked. You know what I'm saying? One thing I was told as a young man is you're supposed to check a woman every time and let nothing slide. You know what I'm saying? She's supposed to be checked. We ain't talking about being a douchebag, yelling this, that, there, and the third, because she has to know that she's dealing with a man because she's testing the limits. That's why Yahuwah had to check you. That's why guess what? You was in the wilderness, you sized him, and he ain't let nothing slide. Because you have to know that I'm not to be played with. Now, notice there was stuff that he didn't check you on after you got out of the wilderness. That's why Ecclesiastes 8 and 11 say, because of the judgment is not rendered against an evil deed, it's privily in the hearts of the sons of men to do evil. But in that wilderness, when he was bringing you through, that man ain't letting nothing slide. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You know what I'm talking about? Because you had to know that I'm not to be played with. Don't play with me. You will respect me or there's consequences. Let's come back to Job 20. Man, Yahuwah is a very merciful Alahym. You know what I'm saying? He's a righteous Alahym all the way around the board. He's not a difficult man to serve. He's not a difficult man to deal with at all. You know what I'm saying? Just don't play with him. And when we're talking about playing with him, we ain't talking about, okay, you let your desires get the best of you or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you let somebody get you angry, you slap them upside the head. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, it happens. You're a human being. But it's when you get, I can do this and there's no repercussions. Or who cares if I do this? Or the attitude or mindset with it. Now you playing with him, you being disrespectful. Or you living sour and then you proclaiming this man's name like it's all good. See, that man don't rock with that. He don't rock with that. He's not down with that. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about you being that man already know that. He say, I know if you're framed, you're but dust. That's what I've told y'all in the past. You have to remember that you should know a woman's frame. You know she's emotion. You know what a woman, you know that's a child. You the leader, so you're supposed to already have a greater understanding of these people than they have of themselves. You know what I'm talking about? So you can't frustrate me. The only way you can frustrate me is if you're being defiant. Now we got a problem because you're defiant. You're not doing what I instructed you to do. That is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, but I'm a different type of dude. Most don't get me upset. So if I get upset, you done piss me off. You know what I'm saying? Like you done violated some tenets that I hold in high regard, and that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? That's a problem. There's a lot of dudes I done came across in this world. They violated tenets that I hold as this is how we was taught, man. You know what I'm saying? Code of etiquette, rules of engagement that I will never respect them as men as long as they breathe. And even after death, I still won't respect them. Because I'm going to keep the same energy I got while you were alive when you dead. You know what I'm talking about? If I ain't fooling you when you was alive, nigga, I don't care nothing about you when you dead. You know what I'm talking about? I feel just like how David felt, man. Send that whorehead nigga head to the grave and don't let it go in peace. I don't fool with you. So you know, some people die. You know that I ain't doing none of that, man. I don't care nothing about that nigga, bro. You know what I'm talking about? I don't fool with him. You know what I'm saying? If I don't fool with you when you alive, I don't fool with you when you're dead. I don't wish no death on you. I hope you don't go to hell. But frankly, I ain't gonna shed no tear. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely don't care. You know what I'm talking about? Now don't be one of them people, man. Oh man, brother done died. You know you ain't fool with that nigga, man. Don't do that, bro. I'm not coming to your funeral. You know what I'm saying? I ain't sending no condolences. I ain't doing none of that because it's phony. Because I don't fool with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't fool with you. So if I don't fool with you, I'm gonna keep that same energy. And most of the people I don't fool with, because they done faked on me and they don't fool with me. So I'm gonna keep it that way. Because if I don't like a nigga, I don't even be bothered. And Yahuwah is the same way. And it's not that I dislike people. I just don't fool with you. You show yourself to be a dishonorable man, I'm good. I don't want nothing to do with you. You're not to be trusted. Because see, I'm thinking bigger. As most of every one of you brothers should be thinking, there's going to come a day if Yahuwah allows us to live, well, we're going to be persecuted for the things that we stand on. And the last thing that I'm going to do is purposely have a dishonorable man near me. Now, if he's a dishonorable man and he ain't showed himself to be dishonorable like Judas, now, of course, Yahushua knew, but the apostles didn't know that this was a dishonorable man. You know what I'm talking about? That's different. But if I know you done dishonored yourself as a man, I'm not having you around me, bro, because I already know when push comes to shove, you tell him. And I'm not having you around me because I'm concerned with what's going to happen to me, but there's other men and there's wives and there's children, and we wouldn't want you around to be able to have them subjugated to your folly. Because I don't care nothing about going to jail. I've already went to jail before. I don't care about that. And I don't care about dying because, shoot, we all going to do that anyway. Remember, I told you this a long time ago, you can't kill somebody that's ready to die. And if you done died to the world and died to the flesh, you already ready to die physically because you died to everything else. So what is a little rest going to do for you? It's not going to do nothing for you. It's nothing to fear, nothing to be concerned with. It's a small thing. Where we are in verse 10 of Job 21, but we don't need all of that. We can come on. We just get to verse 22. Just straight to the statement that he thought to make. Shall any teach Alahym knowledge, seeing he judges those that are high? Now, of course, before all this, he's talking about people who seem to be well off or seem to have ease in this world. He says they gonna teach who gonna teach this man? Who gonna do it? Now, it is important, and I'm glad we went in this direction. Let's come back to this Psalms 51 because it's an element in that Psalms 51 that we need to discuss that David mentioned. And what he mentioned was right here in verse 12. We'll start there. Well, matter of fact, yeah, 12 is fine. Restore unto me the joy of your salvation. Uphold me with your free ruach. Then will I teach transgressors your ways, and sinners shall be converted unto you. Now, of course, teaches Lamar. You know what transgressors is? That's a rebel. You know what is? That's kata, and you know convert is shu, to return. He will teach those who are kata, which is, of course, is a sinner. Someone exposed to condemnation, reckoned as an offender. Understand what that means. When you're a sinner, we've talked about this before, because there's a difference between a sinner, there's a difference between a transgressor, there's a difference between the wicked. All three of them different. It's different against a work of iniquity. A work of iniquity is the perverse and depraved. So they'll take something that's righteous and pervert it. You know what I'm saying? A transgressor is a rebel. You know what I'm talking about? A wicked man is disagreeable. You know what I'm talking about? We know a son of Belial is worthless. But you see what a sinner is? A sinner is somebody who's exposed to condemnation. They're an offender. See, it's different. So you could be a sinner and you offended, but a sinner is not as bad as a transgressor because you're a rebel. You know what I'm saying? That means when you're a rebel, that means you know what to do and you make a conscious decision not to do it. You know what I'm saying? See, it's one thing, okay, you offended. You in the wrong. You're exposed. But a rebel is saying, F you, I'm going to do what I want to do. You know what I'm talking about? And then, of course, a work of iniquity is extremely worse because you're going to take what's right and you're going to pervert it. That's right. That's why he was, amen. That's why you see that in Isaiah 53. He was reckoned amongst the transgressors. What was he reckoned amongst? A rebel who was next to him. You remember who was next to him? Well, put it this way, because I'm getting ahead of myself. Who got released? Barabbas. What did he cause? An insurrection. He was rebelling. Who the people who offered him up to death? The chief priests. And what were they doing? They were rebelling. You know what I'm talking about? And of course, he was hung up there with two men. And what were they up there for? Rebelling. Doing what they wanted to do regardless. Because it was symbolic of the house of Yasharal, because the house of Yasharal is a rebel. That's why he say he came to save sinners. You understand? He came to save those who offend. Never said nothing about no doggone getting no rebels. See, Yahuwah don't deal with no rebels. You got to think about that. Let's take a look at some of these things, man. Let me sit back and see what we want to do with it first. Let's see what we want to do with it first. Because we just talked about one of these not too long ago. Let's go over here to Mark chapter 2. Let's do that. Remember, who was the people that they kept talking about? The publicans and the harlots. These were people who were offenders. The things that they did caused them to offend. That's why I say offenses may come. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say, what if my brother offend me? He say, forgive him. You know what I'm saying? Because who are going to forgive an offender? But a rebel and a wicked man and a man of iniquity, they could be forgiven, but it's going to be pretty hard. Now, of course, you know, he said that in Psalm 68 that he also gave gifts unto the men, even to the rebellious also. Because everybody got the access, but a lot of rebels don't want it. And that's why I mentioned that to you before, because y'all know that I didn't talk to you before, told y'all this before. This is something that I just noticed as a child. Women are naturally rebellious. You know what I'm saying? Like I told y'all before, I've never heard a little boy say, "You're not the boss of me." You know what I'm saying? Never heard a little boy say that. I'm talking about as a child. It's just stuff as I got older and started to experience certain things and see certain things, and I would think back. I've never heard a little boy say, "You're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do." You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I was telling my sister what to do her whole life, and she got to a point where she said it. You tell me what. I've seen little boys be stubborn and not do what you asked them to do, but I ain't never heard them verbalize, "You not gonna tell me what to do." You know what I'm talking about? I've seen little girls do this. You know what I'm saying? I've seen little girls buck, and their parents got to rein them back in, because if you don't rein a little girl in, she will buck. Do you know what I'm talking about? And even when you mention that, son, refuse not instruction. Instruction going to translate to rebuke, chastisement. You know what I'm saying? Little girls are going to buck. You know what I'm talking about? And you got to check them. Then you turn around and you look at the house of Yasharal, you are his wife, and you buck. That's why I told you, if most of our men get on the internet and they cry and complain about women, and this man told you in his word, I'm talking about for those in the know, that how those women behave are a reflection of how you behave towards him. You know what I'm saying? You seeing a reflection of yourself towards your God, and you don't like it. And you sitting up here on the internet complaining about women when you really complain about yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't respect these cats. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, we about to read that right now, my G. You know what I'm talking about? 2 and 13, Mark. I've been telling y'all that for years, man. I've been telling you for a long time. Sometimes dudes and people will get on here and think I'm talking about women. Oh, yeah. Oh, you ain't lying. Little Johnny hit it on the head. I'm grown. That's a woman's favorite line. I'm grown. You know what I'm saying? He ain't lied. And he went forth again by the seaside, and all the multitudes resorted unto him, and he taught them. And as he passed by, he saw Levi of Alphaeus, and said unto him, "Follow me." And he arose and followed him. And it came to pass that as Yahushua sat at meat in his house, many publicans and sinners sat also together with Yahushua and his disciples, for there were many, and they followed him. And when the scribes and Pharisees saw him eat with the publicans and sinners, they said unto his disciples, "How is it that he eat and drink with publicans and sinners?" When Yahushua heard it, he say unto them, "They that are whole have no need of the physician, but they that are sick. I come not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." Remember, that's what, see this, Shalom. See, that's what a lot of dudes don't want to look at when you deal with Adam and Eve. They were sinners. They were offenders. They were exposed to condemnation. That's why Adam could give his life for his wife, because she was exposed to condemnation. So he exposed himself to the same condemnation as a means to redeem her. The same way that Yahushua exposed himself to the same condemnation as a means to redeem you. And Bruce can't catch it. You know what I'm saying? They can't catch it. That's why he said, because when you sin, you're exposed. You know what I'm talking about? You're exposed to condemnation. Again, it's been a long time. I can't remember the name of the video. It's been at least 5-6 years since we did it, because it's 2022 now. So it's probably like 2016, 17, somewhere in there. But we went through that. There is a difference between a sinner, a transgressor, a wicked man, a work of iniquity. There's a difference. They are not the same. They're not the same. You know what I'm talking about? Nowhere even close. They're not the same. By definition, you know what I'm talking about? They're not the same. That's why he said it. That's why when you look at it from he called kata to shu. I'm calling people, or it would be, if you would see it in Hebrew, it would say kara, kata, shu. I'm calling out those who offend to return. You know what I'm saying? Or to turn from offending. I'm calling you to stop offending against me. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. Now, see, if he say transgressors, then he would say, I'm calling rebels to return from rebellion. Or I'm calling the perverse to stop perverting my words. See, that's what the scribes and Pharisees were. They were workers of iniquity because they perverted the man's word. You know what I'm talking about? They made that which is clean perverse. It's a gross violation. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe we'll go back over that in the near future. Yahuwah knows. But let's continue sitting back looking at that. I want y'all to understand that what he came to do. He came to save sinners. That's why Paul say, come over here to 1 Timothy chapter 1. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And lock that door for me. Shoot, man. I can't call it. This be the only day I really get to sleep. Just text me, man.
No, I'll wait for yours. You feel like it, you give me a
No, it's better for you to text me. I'm telling you, because I may or may not. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm talking about? But I'll send you the address where we're gonna be tomorrow afternoon.
Gotta work.
No, I understand, my G.
Thank you so much.
Y'all boy be safe on that road, bro. Yes, sir. That's right. Show you right, brother kid. Show you right. 1 Timothy chapter 1, man. You pick it up at verse 11 if you would. Shoot, you could make it 9 or 8 just because it's dealing with the very thing we talking about. That's it. But we know that the law is good if a man uses it lawfully, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless, disobedient, for the ungodly, for sinners, for the unkadash, profane, for murderers of fathers, murderers of mothers, for manslayers, whoremongers, them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, perjured persons, if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. According to the the esteemed Basar of the Baruch Alahym, which was committed to my trust. I thank Mashiach Yahushua our Lord, who have enabled me, for he have counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer, a persecutor, injurious, but I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. Now check it right. I'm going to check some of y'all memories. I'm talking about the people who've been here for a good long time. When Paul said that he was a blasphemer, a persecutor, injurious, but he obtained mercy, what law is he fulfilling when he makes this statement? Talk to me now. I know some of y'all know. I know one of y'all got to know. I'm confident in that matter. Y'all, I know it's been a while, and that's okay if you have. You know what I'm saying? Somebody talk to me. Tell me what law that's fulfilling. Now, it's not that one there, brother kid. It's not that one there. You say 33 and 19? I don't think it's 33 and 19. Let me look. It's been a while, man, since we talked about this, so it's all good. I can see why you would say that, and you definitely could use that. It's definitely not a wrong answer, I can tell you that. Not what we angling towards, but it's definitely not a wrong answer. I can definitely say that. Oh, I just realized that that's the baseball logo on these socks. Well then. Did you know that the baseball batter man is Harlem Killebrew? No, you didn't, did you? Now you know. And knowing's half the battle. That's a true story, by the way. We all know who the NBA logo is. Huh? Jerry West. You don't watch basketball, so of course you know. No. So then you don't watch basketball. I give you 30 more seconds. See, I'm looking for the people who've been running around for 6-7 years. Big Boot, where you at, Big Boot? You remember what law that is? Little Boot wake or woke, or she just back there sleeping? I don't think I seen that baby eyes open none today. Yeah, no, his statement is evidence of a law actually being fulfilled. Your key to being able to discern this is when he said he did it ignorantly in unbelief. So if he did it ignorantly in unbelief, that means it was without malice. You remember Big Boot? Huh? Oh, she don't remember. Oh, your 30 seconds are up. So for those, and I know it's been a long time, and we're not going to go through it step by step, but that's the city of refuge. Do y'all recall the elements in the city of refuge? If a man slayed a man who he had no problems with aforetime, there was a place that he could go, and he had to stay there till when? Till the high priest died. And if he left from out of that place, then the avenger of blood could avenge his brother's blood upon the man's slayer. So when Paul tells you I was a man who was injurious, a blasphemer, but I did it ignorant and unbelief, it's a literal example that Yahusha is the city of refuge. And that if you enter into that, because if you were a sinner, you offended, you didn't have any malice in your heart when you slayed him, you didn't know. You didn't have murderous intent. See, that's the difference between a work of iniquity, a transgressor, and a wicked person. Because the sinner didn't go purposely out to slay him, but they are still exposed to condemnation. Ain't that's what the law in the city of refuge talking about? Even though you didn't purposely kill that man, were you still not exposed to the condemnation? You see the beauty of the word, man. It's all there. That's why we take our time to go through the stuff that we go through, so you can have this information to give to your sons. You know what I'm talking about? Absolutely. Because the high priest will never die. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, you can remain in that place of refuge. You never have to depart. You know what I'm talking about? Or you can look at it in this aspect, that you can leave from the city of refuge when the high priest dies. Your high priest died and then rose again. So therefore you were absolved from the sin, and therefore you could depart to enter into an everlasting kingdom. That's too much for the people in the back. We're going to move on. Come back to Psalm 51, right? So again, right, he's also telling you that he's going to teach rebels, because he taught them people. Again, rebel is pasha, to rebel, to transgress, to revolt, to trespass, to rebel, to break away from just authority. You know what I'm saying? And when we look at it, we broke away from just authority. See, this is something that we're going to look at in Psalms 81. Let me go ahead and give you a little, I'm not going to break down, because we'll start that during unleavened bread, if the Lord allows. But I want you to look at an aspect of Psalms 81 about your rebellion. Psalms 81 and 10. I am Yahuwah your Alahym, which brought you out of the land of Mizraim. Open your mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people would not hearken to my voice, and Yasharal would have none of me. So I gave them up into their own heart's lust. They walked in their own counsels. We starting tomorrow night, Brother Langford. We starting tomorrow night. And we'll have service every single night of the feast. And for those of you who don't know, same thing for tabernacles every single night. One-time shot for Pentecost, one-time shot for atonement, one-time shot for trumpets. No, you won't get no dual services. You won't get a night daytime. Only one permit that you may get that for is atonement. You know what I'm saying? And that's just so, I know sometimes people be hungry, this, that, then the third. If you're dealing with word in your mind, focus on the word, then you don't be focused on your hunger. You know what I'm saying? And we've done that a few years. A double portion. Sometimes it's recorded, sometimes it's not. You're not guaranteed to get a recorded daytime portion. I can tell you that. But come on back to Psalm 51. Again, we were still talking about that broken heart that Alahym would not despise. This man who's been crushed. This man who's been trampled upon. We was in Isaiah 53. Well, I called for Isaiah 53, but we never started. We'll start right now. See, these are the only people that he gonna take. The people who meditate and come to him when their hearts are broken, when you've been humbled. Because that's why you're crushed, because you've been humbled. Most people won't humble themselves in the inner man. See, everything is about what you do with the inward man. You know what I'm saying? Because I've told y'all this before. Righteousness comes from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? It comes from the inside out. That's why Yahushua said it's not what go into a man but defile him, but what come out. Because they thought it was about food, but he was telling you were defiled because defilement was inside of you, therefore it comes out. That's why he enumerated the things that he enumerated. The evil eye, the blasphemy, the adultery, the fornication, the lasciviousness. You know what I'm talking about? The hate, the murder. This is going, I'll read that Mark 7 for you in a moment. But let's get this Isaiah 53 and 3 out of the way. Just like he told you, out of a good man, out of a good heart come forth good things. Because everything is from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? That's if you validate it inwardly, you won't seek validation outwardly. If you love yourself, you're not seeking love. I'm talking about in the aspect of the society that we live in, seeking for somebody to love you. When you seeking for somebody to love you, you don't love yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's a problem. Because you're never going to be able to actually give and receive love in a pure form because you don't love yourself. So you're seeking for something outside of you to do that for you. That's when you see women say, I never knew love till I had my child. Something wrong with you. That means your parents failed you somewhere along the way. If it took that you thought if you had a baby, somebody was going to love you or that child was going to love you. You know what I'm saying? Really, you're setting a child up for a debilitating adulthood because you're going to do things that are going to have an extremely deleterious effect on their mental state and their ability to be a fully functional man or woman. You know what I'm saying? That child ain't no damn dog. You know what I'm saying? It's not a dress-up doll or any of those things. But that's when you're dealing with people who don't love themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to look for something or someone to love them because they don't love themselves. And people like that damage children. You know what I'm talking about? Isaiah 53 and 3. He is despised and rejected of men, man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. We hid it as it were. Faces from him, he was despised, we esteemed him not. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we had deemed him stricken, smitten of Alahym, and afflicted, smitten in this instance, meaning literally being killed. He was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our shalom was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to his own way, and who have laid on him the iniquity of us all. See, you see, we turn of us our own way. That's the rebellion. That's the rebellion. That's why he said, I'll teach transgressors. You've revolted, you rebelled, that they might return. That's why Yahushua's ministry was based around repentance, that you might return. Remember, he said, I come for the lost sheep. We didn't talk about this. That lost in translation in Hebrew is dealing with you actually being killed and destroyed. Let me share it with the people who may not be aware. Come to Psalms 119. The last passage, if you would. I think it's 174. No, 176. He said, I've gone astray like a sheep lost. Seek your servant, for your commandments that I forget. So when you look at lost, you have abad, and that literally means to perish and to die and to be exterminated. It also means lost and strayed, also to be put to death by divine judgment. You understand? So when you sit back and I've mentioned this in the past, and I'm mentioning it now for us to understand. Now, of course, to go astray is to err, to wander, the wandering of the mind, to stagger, to mislead mentally, ta'ah. But I'm mentioning this for a reason. Because when you're lost, you're dead. You don't have any life in you. So when you sit, and we talked about this last week, let's get to Proverbs 10 and 12. We talked about this, was it last week or the week before that? We were talking about the James, right? You know what I'm saying? We were talking about the James, and what James was referring to, that if you convert a sinner from the error of his ways, know that you covered a multitude of sins. See, you can only cover that multitude of sins because what's written in the law. What did he say? In any wise, rebuke your neighbor and don't suffer no sin upon him. You do that because you love him. So you don't want him to be destroyed. See, we live around a bunch of bussy Mitches now. You know what I'm talking about? These boys are body man. You know what I'm talking about? Soft, wet booty niggas. You understand me? That if you tell them anything about their conduct and behavior, they get in their feelings. You can't say that about me. This, that, there, and the third, nigga. You sound like your mama, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Man, let me tell you something, man. That any of you men on here, any of you gentlemen on here, any of you brothers on here, you know what I'm talking about? Well, if you had a man who told you about yourself in your childhood, whether it was your daddy, prayerfully it was your daddy. But if it wasn't your daddy, if it was your uncle, if it was your granddaddy, if it was any man whatsoever, you need to see them man, call that man and say, let that man know, I appreciate you, sir. You know what I'm talking about? You see that man, you shake that man's hand. You know what I'm talking about? And take him, buy him a nice dinner somewhere. You know what I'm talking about? Because I know full well if he did it, it benefits you to this day. You know what I'm talking about? Like real time, not being funny or nothing. But if you had a man in your life that told you about yourself, and you can understand that you see that him doing that allowed you to be the man that you are today, that you could take responsibility for the choices that you make. You know what I'm talking about? And be wiser in your movements. You need to call that man, let that man know you love him and you appreciate him for what he did. And when you see him, shake that man's hand and take him for a nice meal. You know what I'm talking about? Real talk. No exaggeration. None of that. Take that man out, man. Say, man, and show your appreciation to that man. Because there's a lot of brothers out here, man, they ain't got it. They ain't had nobody to let them know, boy, you acting like a real hoe right now. When I say that, meaning you're acting soft, you're acting beneath your manhood. Why are you being this way? Why are you making those decisions? Why are you comfortable with your life being in this particular state? What is wrong with you, boy? You know what I'm talking about? Which will allow you because I told you before, man, it was on my mind the other day, man. This society we live in hate masculine authority. So therefore, you got young men who are raised to hate masculine authority. And what it's really doing is it's teaching you to hate the authority of Yahuwah. Because man was made in the image of Alahym, and he gave man dominion over the earth. He gave man dominion over the house. He gave man dominion over the woman. Everything mirroring him. And they despise it and hate it because deep down in their soul, they hate Yahuwah. I don't care if they say shalom to you. I don't care if they got no Hebrew name. I don't care nothing about no outfits that ain't even Hebrew. Half the time, these niggas wearing dashikis and African fits. You know what I'm talking about? These dudes hate Yahuwah. Because I don't care if you agree with it. I don't care if you like it or not. If you were raised to have respect for masculine authority, you're going to have respect for masculine authority everywhere you go in your life, irregardless of who that man is. Whether you like that nationality of people or not, you're going to have respect for a man's authority because that's what you were raised with. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to have respect for a man's authority. You ain't going to know nothing different. It don't make you weaker. It don't make you this, that, there, and the third. But you understand that this man has authority. You're going to give him his proper respect because that's a man. Because if you a man in authority, you're going to want your proper respect. That's why that centurion came to the Lord and said, I'm a man under authority, this, that, there, and the third. I tell men to go and they go. I tell men to do this and they do this. You ain't got nothing to do nothing but speak a word. That's why the Lord said, I ain't never seen no great faith like this here because this man understood structure and order of masculine authority. How am I have a problem with him? He understand the game plan. He running it down to me. He knew he talking to a man. He can't do nothing but give that man proper respect. See, we don't have that now. You got too many men in their feelings. A man in his feelings is a dangerous place because you're dealing with the volatile nature of a man's strength, power, and murderous intentions dealing with emotions. That is not a mix that should ever be combined. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I meant when I told y'all Wednesday. Don't let no woman boost you up to do no junk, man, because women don't understand how volatile a man can be, especially if she know that man will take it there. You know what I'm saying? There's men out here, they going to take it there. They going to end your life. And they ain't got no problem with it. They don't care about putting you in no grave, and they don't care about going to prison from putting you there. You know what I'm saying? This is real life. This ain't no game. You can't let nobody put no battery in your back to end your life. Because you only get one. And then after that, you're going to get woke up. And then you're going to have to stand before this man's throne with the books open. Don't let nobody trick you to jail. And definitely don't let nobody trick you to hell. You know what I'm talking about? Don't let nobody do it to you, man. It's serious. I know people don't believe it is. Y'all don't believe in these fairy tales. Man, I'm trying to tell you, man, you're going to see that man one day, my G. I promise you that. I promise you that. Is he going to be in love? Is he going to be in the ruach of meekness? Or is he coming with the rod? And you don't want him to come with that rod of correction. Because that means when he opened up that book, that correction is you going to the lake where the worm dies not and the fire shall not be quenched. Why would you do that? Come on back to that 53, man. These people out here crazy is all I know, man. Oh, I'm sorry. I said Proverbs 10 and 12, didn't I? And I didn't read it. That's my fault. So 10 and 12, hatred stir up strifes. Love cover all sins. Now, it's been a long time since we discussed that, but you know that they hated Alahym. Let's take a look at the Lord himself so you can see it. His words, not mine. John 15 and 23, because I ain't got 22 in this book. And instead of opening up the app, I'll just pick it up at 23. You know, praise Yahuwah, man. I appreciate y'all time this evening. Prayerfully, y'all get something out of there time the trap house open. Prayerfully, Yahuwah. And I'm talking, when I say get something out of it, I mean get out of it what Yahuwah wants you to get. That's going to be in the pathway that he wants you to go at this particular time. Because everybody don't need the same thing at the same time. 15 to 23, John, he that hate me, hate my Abba also. If I had not done among them the works which another man did, they had not had sin, but now they both seen and hated me and my Abba. But that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law, they hated me without a cause. Do you know what I'm talking about? So when you look at it, what did they hate him for? That hatred stirred up the strife or the contention because this is why they wanted to kill him. You understand? But he said, love covereth all sin, because greater love have no man in this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. Now, again, we talk about friends. We done talked about this here before. Friends means real or riyah. What does that mean? That's an intimate companion. So that goes back to what we discussed, I think, Wednesday, and not too long ago. He died for those who were already slain with him from the foundation of the world. You know what I'm saying? He laying his life down for his friends, his close, intimate companions, those who are one with him. But also the rebels can get in on it too. But guess what that means? If you were a rebel at one time and you were converted, that means you was his friend. You just didn't know you was his friend until he was ready to let you know you was his friend. You was his friend the whole time. You didn't know it though. Every last one of you that serve you who are ruach and truth on this stream or who may watch this later, if you are earnestly and honestly serving this man in the faith, you were his friend, even in your iniquities. You just didn't know it. What did Paul tell you? He said, even though we were sinners, yet Mashiach died for us. Even though you were an offender and exposed to condemnation, he did it anyway. Because you were his friend. Why are you his friend? Because you're the seed of Abraham, and Abraham was his friend. Therefore, you are his friend. If you do all things whatsoever he commands you. Ain't that what he told you? Let the Lord be esteemed. So when you look at the love covering all the sins, the love of Alahym covered your sins, boy. You loving another person don't cover no sins, boy. That's how stupid some of these people is out here, man. You know what I'm talking about? If I just feed the homeless and do this, that, then the third, that's going to cover my sins. No, it's not. You can't cover no sins, boy. See, let me just read the word cover for you, man. Let's just go ahead and look at it so y'all can know it's a word you know. That's kasad. That's to conceal or to hide. Remember what we read last week? He said he'll blot out your sins in a dark cloud. You can't love nobody and hide no sins, man. You know what I'm talking about? Only Yahuwah can do that. Remember what they got mad at the Lord about? What he said. And what do you have right here for sins? You have kashah. And what is that? The guilt or punishment for transgression. That's what his love is hiding. The punishment for sin. What is the punishment for sin? Death. So when you turn around and we go back to Psalm 51, and he's saying that I will teach transgressors your ways and convert them unto you. This is another element of if anybody err from the truth and one convert him, let him know that he saved the soul from death and covered a multitude of sins. This is what he's saying. But this is after somebody else has been converted because of what they have done. And now they want to go talk about the goodness and greatness of Yahuwah and what he has done for them. And guess who you seen do that? You seen Paul do that because he created in Paul a clean heart. Did he not? See, I mentioned this to y'all the other day, 1 Samuel 9, about what that word supposed to do. Look at the Lord. We get straight on to it. I thank the Lord. And make sure I'm in the right place where I need to be. You come to 1 Samuel 9. I'm just trying to make sure I got the verse that I need to have. I feel like I'm just looking right over it. And because I'm in the wrong chapter, that's why. Chapter 10. 1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 1. That was the problem. I was in the wrong chapter. 1 Samuel 10 and 1. Then Samuel took a vial of oil and poured it upon his head and kissed him and said, it is not because you who have anointed you captain over his inheritance. When you are departed from me today, you shall find 2 men by Rachel's sepulchre in the border of Benjamin at Zelzah. And they will say unto you, the asses which you went to seek are found, and lo, your father have left the care of the asses and sorrow for you, saying, what shall I do for my son? See, that's a whole element in that in and of itself. And I'll give that to you briefly. The asses or the sheep that you seek, they are found. You know what I'm talking about? You remember what Yahushua said? He said the Son of Man has came to seek those which are lost. That's what he said about Zacchaeus in Luke 18. Do you recall? He said, now they've been found. And he said, and your father have left the care of the asses. Who did he leave it to? And he sorrowed for you, saying, what shall he do for his son? You don't think that the father was sorrow for his son, but these things had to be done. He said, remember what he said, right? Chasten your son where there is hope and spare not for his crying. Don't mean that he take pleasure in it. Because he done already stated he don't take the pleasure in the death of him that dieth. But let's continue. You shall go on forward from thence, and you shall come to the plain of Tabor, and there shall meet there 3 men going up to Alahym, to Bethel, one carrying 3 kids, another carrying 3 loaves of bread, another carrying a bottle of wine. And they will salute you and give you 2 of bread, which you shall receive of their hands. After that, you shall come to the hill of Alahym, where is the garrison of the Philistines, and it shall come to pass, when you will come hither to the city, you shall meet a company of prophets coming down from the high place with a psaltery, a tabret, a pipe, a harp before them, and they shall prophesy. And the ruach of Yahuwah will come upon you, and you shall prophesy with them, and you shall be turned into another man. Now, we're just going to look at this aspect of being turned into another man, because you want him to create in you a clean heart. So if you want a clean heart within you, you're going to have to become another man. When he said that you shall be turned into another man, another, and this one here is air, Aleph, Kot, and Rosh. You can give me what you have for Aleph, Kot, and Rosh. And it means another, following, other, or different, or strange. Now you become strange to the world, but familiar to Yahuwah. Do y'all understand that? When the ruach of Yahuwah come upon you, you have to become a different person. So you want him to create in you a clean heart. And then I'm going to read to you to create a clean heart. And that's Aleph, Kot, and Rosh. If anyone would like to share their thoughts, always remember to keep it in context of what we're talking about, and to make that easier for you. When we look at create, of course, you know that is bara, that is the shape, that is the form. That is Alahym, shaping and forming, to give birth. So you want a new heart, a clean heart to be formed. And of course, clean is to whore, and that is to be clean, pure. So you would desire for this man to fashion in you a pure lev. This is what you desire. Then you want him to renew, which is Kadash. Keep that in mind, because that's going to come back around when we go to talking about Psalms 81. You want him to make you a new, or repair, but more importantly, a new ruach. That's what you want. You want a pure heart and a new spirit. And what do you see when it said the ruach of Yahuwah came on Saul? It said he became another man, or a different man. He had a different heart. It's not the same person anymore. I'll read to you verse 9 when it comes to that. And it was so, when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, Alahym gave him another heart. Those signs came to pass that day. And that is Aleph, Kot, and Rosh. I'm going to get up off here for y'all, by the way, in just a moment. But we got to start dealing with the elements of the create a clean heart. Or 3 weeks would have been just 3 weeks without getting to the main point. Now, wouldn't it? Now, when it said he gave him another heart, again, it's the same word. Air, a different one, another one, other. Just think about that. Come to Ezekiel 18, if you would. I don't think nobody gonna take us up on that. Or niggas sleep. I understand. It's late. Y'all niggas be tired. I be tired too, though. Man, imagine if you came on here and I was just nodding out, falling asleep. They'd be like, that nigga's just rude. I understand. I want to make sure I got the right thing. Well, I'll read verse 30 first and foremost. I'll make sure Ezekiel 18 even had what I wanted. I'm not thinking about another chapter. Make sure. Y'all can hold verse 30 for that. Yeah, that ain't what I want, but we'll use it for now. 18 and 30, though. Therefore, I will judge you, O house of Yasharal, every one of you according to his way, saith Yahuwah Alahym. Repent and turn from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin. Cast away, there it is. Cast away from you all your transgressions whereby you have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new ruach. For why will you die, O house of Yasharal? Now we had Aleph, Kot, and Rosh, right? So when you're looking at another one, you're being separated by the Son of the Highest, or the strength of the Highest, considering that Yahushua is his firstborn, and the firstborn son is the beginning of a man's strength. So when you're looking at getting another heart, or being renewing a right ruach within you, you're looking at being separated by the Son of the Highest. That's the only way that can happen. How are you sanctified by the Son of the Highest? By believing on him whom he has sent, because he sanctified himself by the truth. And it's not, a lot of brews will look at that. Oh, he sanctified himself by the law. Well, we know truth is Amat, Amuna, Aman, and all of these things are the reliability, the faithfulness, and the soundness of the word. That man set himself apart according to the faithfulnesses and the promises that his Father has laid out in the text through him. So therefore, he did that. He set himself apart by the faith so that he might set his apostles apart by the faith. Those men weren't sanctified by no law. If you think that man was talking about the law when he said that in John 17:17, you are woefully unlearned. You know what I'm talking about? Woefully unlearned. I'm not going to say you're dumb or you're an idiot. I'm just going to call it what it really is. You're woefully unlearned. Woefully. I seen a brother ask this the other day. I just didn't respond. What does it mean to be in the truth? Every last one of y'all should know what that means. That means you in the reliability and soundness of the promise of the word of the living Alahym. That's what you in. That's what you mean that's what you're supposed to mean when you say I'm in the truth. I'm in the faithfulness and the reliability of the word. The word is faithful. Yahuwah is faithful. You know what I'm talking about? Yahushua is the faithful witness. That's what he told you. You know what I'm talking about? Not a single solitary word that come down from heaven gonna fall to the earth without completing its task. That's not happening. You understand? So when you turn around and you look at this here, man, you're moving to have a pure mind. That's what it means when it created me a clean heart. I desire to have a pure mind and a new spirit. And that's what it means when you're making a new heart and a new ruach. You know what I'm talking about? Creating in yourself a clean heart and renewing in the right ruach is really discussing being born again. You know what I'm talking about? It's a metamorphosis of self. And why do you do this? Because you got immersed and you put your flesh to death to live to Alahym. Many can't or won't do it. I'll read Ezekiel 18:31 one more time because that's what it was. I know sometimes I'd be overlooking passages, man. I'd be like, man, I don't see what I'm looking for. It'd be right there in my face. Cast away from you all your transgressions whereby you have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new ruach. For why will you die, O house of Yasharal? For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dies, say Yahuwah Alahym. Wherefore turn and live you. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. And Darius mentioned it earlier. When that seed is put in there, you're washed from the word that I have spoken unto you. How can a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed according to your word. You know what I'm saying? The word is supposed to sprinkle your conscience clean, to no longer serve dead works. But hallelujah for Yahushua. We start right there because, shoot, man, we got a lot to do and a lot of days to do it if the Lord allow. I appreciate y'all time to see the men. I bless y'all, the house of Alahym, in the name of Yahushua. You know, you who are willing tomorrow, man, we pick it up 2:30, 3 o'clock, somewhere in that time frame. And then, of course, we may not go as long because we'll have service again at 8:30 for the beginning of our observation of unleavened bread. And then service will be at 8:30 Saturday night. So that means we going twice Saturday. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't know, now you know. It's also in the community tab. All times are in the community tab. You know what I'm talking about? So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7:30, Thursday, 7:30, Friday, regular Sabbath time. Anywhere from 8:15 to 8:30. I got in here a little late, so I had to bathe. You know what I'm talking about? So we try not to, we're not trying to go around the 9 o'clock period of time this time of year. So right now we're still in that 8:15, 8:30 range. We won't get till 9 o'clock till sometime in June, maybe late May, June. Right now I think it's sunsetting at 7:45, so it's really getting dark by 8:15. So We ain't ready for the 9 o'clock yet. You know what I'm talking about? Once the days really go to getting longer, that's when 9 o'clock are come into play. Prayerfully, everybody got some understanding that would be beneficial to them at this particular time. Just make sure you keep yourself steadfast in the faith. And again, if you're desiring to expand, of course, first and foremost, you need to seek Yahuwah first and foremost. But if you're seeking to expand your understanding of the man word, it would definitely behoove you to immerse yourself in the first 39, man. Just focus completely and explicitly on that. And then as you reading the back 9, you know what I'm saying, the last 27, you know what I'm talking about? Okay, if you look at something, okay, your mind need to be, where can I validate this statement? Where can I validate this action? And again, you're not doing it to share it with this, that, and the third. You're doing it to expand your own understanding, especially if you have offspring. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do it for you first. You know what I'm talking about? You got to do it for you first. You know what I'm saying? And I know if you got a son, then your impetus is to give it to your son. But you got to do it for you first. You know what I'm talking about? Because you got to expand that for you. You can't be beneficial to anyone until you're beneficial to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Then you can be beneficial to others. We seek to be beneficial to people before we even beneficial to ourselves. That ends up being a stumbling block for it, though. But again, I bless y'all, the house of Alahym, in the name of Yahushua, man. I appreciate y'all time this evening, man. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Yahuwah willing, man. We'll open up a spot on tomorrow, man, and make it do what it do. And until that time, your food done got cold, cuz you ain't eat none of that.